I wanted to make this Ollie versus A Pup Above comparison because while one of these dog foods is pretty darn good, the other one's kind of gross. And I think it's important for dog owners to know that before they choose a fresh food for their pup. So in this comparison of A Pup Above versus Ollie, I'm going to look at the quality of the dog foods as a whole, how they look, how they smell, how they taste. I'm going to look at the convenience of the services from the perspective of a pet owner, and I'll also look at how much these dog foods cost. And I've done the math to make sure that we're comparing them on a level playing field here. But just to give you that quick answer right off the bat here, who should get Ollie? Unfortunately, I wouldn't recommend Ollie to anyone. I think there are better options out there. As for who should get A Pup Above, I think they're a great choice for pet owners who aren't looking to commit to a subscription, who are looking for a delicious tasting dog food that's packed with a higher than average amount of protein, and also people who are looking for a company with traceable ingredients, they care about the environment, and they have a lot more to offer there. A Pup Above is expensive though, so keep that in mind. If you do decide to go ahead with either of these brands, check out my links in the description of this video to apply a nice discount. At the time I'm filming, you can save 50% on your first box with Ollie, or you can save $50 on your first box of A Pup Above. Those discounts might change over time, but I'll always update those links with the best deals that I currently have my hands on. So now let's dive into this comparison and see how Ollie and A Pup Above compare in terms of quality. So the first thing that I evaluate when assessing a fresh dog food's quality is its appearance. How does it look? Does it look like something I'd want to eat? In the case of Ollie, I'm sad to say that unfortunately it looks a bit like a homogeneous paste, more along the lines of what you'd expect when you're looking at traditional dog food. There are some small specks of the ingredients in there, but generally speaking, it's kind of like a uniform color. You don't really see any large chunks of ingredients or anything like that. What I will say is that this is consistent with what's advertised on their website, so it's not like I was surprised when I received the shipment at all. But generally speaking, I have seen more appealing looking recipes from other fresh dog food brands out there. On the other hand, when you take a look at A Pup Above's recipes, there are clear chunks of the ingredients. You can see whole grains of rice, you can see carrots, whatever ingredients there may be in the particular recipe you're looking at. But I was a little disappointed in the appearance once I had it in my hands compared to what I expected when I was looking at the pictures on the website. It really didn't quite live up to what they were selling it as. That said, if I were to compare Ollie versus A Pup Above simply on visual appearance, A Pup Above is the clear winner there. The next thing I evaluate when assessing a fresh dog food's quality is their aroma. How do they smell? Does it smell like something I'd want to eat? So in the case of both recipes that I assessed for Ollie, that was the beef and sweet potatoes and the chicken with carrots, I found that the smells were a little bit off-putting. There was no distinct smell of the proteins in the recipes. The most prominent smell in both recipes was what I believe to be the greens, and it was a bit of a sour smell, probably a little bit of acidity from those vegetables, but it kind of smelled like dog food, and it wasn't something that I was overwhelmingly excited to try. On the other hand, when I assessed A Pup Above's recipes, I found all of them to have a pleasant aroma at the very least. The least interesting was the chicka chicka bow wow, but that was more of a bland it wasn't that it was actually an off-putting flavor. What was different about A Pup Above compared to many of the other fresh dog food brands that I've tried is that I really noted a lot of herbal and aromatic smells there, things like thyme and other herbs that they put in there that made it smell, appealing and nice, and it made these recipes smell like something that I definitely wanted to give a try. And that's something that's not necessarily common to come across in these fresh dog food brands. And then when it comes to taste, I actually had every intention of trying both of these dog foods right here on camera, but after tasting Ollie, I was very off-put by it, so much so that I woke up in the middle of the night with the lingering flavor on my palate. So I ultimately decided that I would just include links to those videos in the description of this one so you can see me eating them firsthand. But just to dive a little bit more into what these brands were like, with Ollie, the flavors were quite strong, and I'm not entirely sure what's responsible for that, but my hunch is that they used a bit too much organ meat in the recipe. And there may also be some flavors coming from the greens in there as well. I just want to note that Ollie is not the only fresh dog food that I've tasted that has organ meat in it. And from a human's perspective, I tend to eat organ meat as well. Like, I enjoy pâtés, I enjoy foie gras. So just the fact that Ollie has organ meat in it isn't necessarily responsible for my sort of revulsion from these recipes. Beyond flavor though, I would say Ollie's recipes also had an unappealing texture. They were quite dry as I ate them. They kind of got stuck in my tongue, stuck in my throat, and they had a bit of a grainy sort of texture to them, and I would say just generally unappealing. A Pup Above's recipes, on the other hand, I found all 4 of them that I tried to be quite tasty, some more so than others. And while I don't think their recipes were the most delicious out there, I do think that their inclusion of certain herbs and certain flavors definitely elevated the eating experience from A Pup Above a little bit more than I had expected from the get-go. But beyond my first-hand experiences, there are a couple other things I like to look at when evaluating quality. It's worth noting that both of these companies use whole ingredients with nutrient supplements to make sure that their food meets AAFCO standards. The recipes from both companies are formulated by veterinary nutritionists, and the food from both companies is made in USDA-inspected facilities. One stark contrast comes in the area of nutrition, and typically the thing that I scrutinize most closely is the protein content as fed. With Ollie, the recipes range from 9 to 11% protein as fed, which is fairly standard for fresh dog food. With A Pup Above, however, they range from 13 to 14%, which is really quite high. So you're getting a lot more of that valuable, delicious protein in your dog's food with A Pup Above. So beyond the quality of the foods themselves, how convenient are these brands for pet owners? Another area where these companies vary greatly is that with Ollie, like a lot of fresh dog food brands, you do have to carry a subscription in order to purchase their fresh dog food. That said, it's easy as can be to cancel your subscription from within your account dashboard. All you have to do is find the button and click cancel, answer a couple of questions, and you're on your way. No more billing, no more orders coming your way. With A Pup Above, I find it's nice that you don't need a subscription at all. You can just place your order, no questions asked. You can actually opt for a subscription with A Pup Above and knock the price you're paying down by up to 15%, but it's definitely not required. And then in terms of shipping, I had a fairly standard experience with Ollie. I placed my order on a Saturday night and I received my package on the following Friday. So it was about 4 full business days in transit. With A Pup Above, I placed my order on a Sunday and I received my package not on the following Thursday, but the Thursday after that. But that's quite long and definitely the longest shipping time that I've seen of all the fresh dog food providers that I've tried. The fresh dog food from both companies arrived in an insulated shipping container and packed on dry ice, and the food was quite frozen, definitely in good shape. The main difference I would say is that while Ollie's packaging was completely recyclable, A Pup Above was packed with cellulose insulation, and the best way to get rid of that is to dissolve it in water and rinse it down your sink, which is a little more cumbersome than simply putting it in your recycling bin. And in terms of how the food itself is packaged, I thought Ollie's patties were actually quite large in size. They ranged from 1.5 pounds to 1.75 pounds, depending on the recipe. That kind of seems like a lot of food to defrost at once to me. Ollie does provide you with a pup tainer and a scoop to make it easy to store the thawed food in the fridge, but once it's thawed, you only have 4 days to use it. So if you're going away for the weekend or something like that, that might be something to consider. A Pup Above's frozen patties, on the other hand, are right about 1 pound each, which is quite standard for fresh dog food. And the nice thing about A Pup Above is that you do have 7 days to use it once thawed, which is a little bit longer, gives you a little more playtime, and you have smaller patties to start with. And how do Ollie and A Pup Above stack up in terms of cost? Well, here's another place where they diverge greatly. I like to evaluate the cost of fresh dog food on a dollars per pound basis. I find that this is the most fair way to evaluate across different brands. Ollie comes in at about $6 per pound, which is right in the middle of the spectrum for fresh dog food. A Pup Above, on the other hand, tends to come in at around $13 per pound, which is really quite high. Not many of the other fresh dog food brands come in quite as high as A Pup Above does. So you're definitely paying a higher rate with A Pup Above, and that's something to consider. And you may want to look into the farmer's dog as a more affordable alternative that's still delicious. I'll leave that one right here. But if you're just comparing Ollie and A Pup Above, I'd say despite the huge price gap, quality with A Pup Above is way higher, and that's definitely the better choice for your dog. If you do decide to go forward with Ollie or A Pup Above, make sure to use my links in this video to get a nice discount. I'll keep updating them with the best deal that I currently have my hands on. I hope this helps you find a delicious fresh dog food for your pup. Thanks for watching.